Good afternoon. Welcome back to Poe Discussions with Carmen and Jeanie. And Jeanie will be joining us in just a moment. She had a little tiny emergency. And so I want to welcome our guest today. He is a very special man, and his name is David Keltz. And David, welcome, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you for having me here. Well, I'm an actor. I've been an actor all my life. Wanted to be from the time I was about 3 or 4.
Wow.
And then began acting in school things in high school and plays. Uh, Everything I could get into. Even when after high school, when I did a short stint in the Army, I was even managed to be in one play there.
Oh,
Then after
nice.
that, I was in some college plays and then went on and got my theater degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so my objective in doing this
Mm-hmm.
is, of course, I've always been fascinated with acting, and really that's all I've wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was about 13 years old, I discovered Poe in a classroom. I was in there, and the teacher left the room and said, "Everybody read the next story." I
Okay.
haven't liked any of the stories in the book so far,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the class just began going wild and behaving. It was not a fake chaos-free zone. They were all going crazy.
Yeah.
I sat there and concentrated, though, because I was going to socialize too, but I got drawn in by the first words on the page.
Mm-hmm.
Nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous. But why will you say that I'm mad? And it pulled me in. I read the story a couple of times
Mm-hmm.
before she came back to the room,
Okay.
and it was so frightening, so scary. That night, my door to my bedroom was partly open, and I kept
Uh-huh.
looking at it and imagining it was getting a little wider, a little wider. And I thought it was absolutely thrilling. I'd never read anything so exciting as
Mm-hmm.
that was. And so I became fascinated with Poe, and then I began reading his other stories. And next one I read was The Black Cat, The Telltale Heart, and I began going through them. Some of them I didn't really understand. They were mainly for scholars of that century.
Okay.
But I had always been fascinated with the idea of, say, biopics, because I remember when I was about 10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this biopic of Eddie Cantor, and it began with him, and he and his wife were sitting in the audience waiting to see the screening of their show. They were the only ones there, and they were talking
Right.
about how they hoped it would do him justice.
Mm-hmm.
And so they watched it and they were fascinated with it. And
Right.
I've always been drawn to that question that uh, literature majors have. If you could have anyone for your dinner guest, who would it be?
Oh, yeah, I love that.
At the theater, people do the same. What actor would you talk to?
Yes.
And so I got this idea that I could do something. Well, I didn't have access to film, but I wanted to do a play
Okay.
that would be like that. It would be as if Poe was your dinner guest, although he was talking to an audience. I would
Mm-hmm.
be in costume and character,
Mm-hmm.
share thoughts and opinions with the audience, and at the same time, I would then tell about the inspiration for some of the stories, and
Mm-hmm.
then go into the stories and perform them. In the beginning, the first one I did was everyone's favorite. I did it on Halloween night, 1991, down at the Poe grave. Uh,
Okay.
as And that was the easiest one to edit or to work with because it was first person.
Okay.
Uh,
That makes sense. Yeah.
uh, the Black Cat uh, was the second one.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remembered how I'd seen a film of Lenny Bruce uh, doing what he does and talking and suddenly becoming his wife and then going back to him and back
Okay.
and forth. And so I thought, well, that can work here. So then
Mm-hmm.
I went on to The Cask of Amontillado, which is one of my favorites. I did it
Me
just
too.
last night. at Annabelle Lee Tavern.
Hmm.
And so that's been the main thing I've been trying to do is give the audience the feeling that they have actually met Poe, that they've been in his
Okay.
presence. I feel, I could actually I've got enough material, I could do shows in
Hmm.
which he was just talking, sharing his thoughts and opinions, critical reviews, and that would work in some places for some audiences, scholars particularly.
Okay.
But the kinds of calls that I get mostly are for people who want the stories, and they like it when I come out as Poe and talk as Poe and introduce the story, telling a little about how it came to be written,
Okay.
and then and every story, then I go into the story and perform the character or characters, and at the end of it, the last line, I try to always have it so that it's time to move on to other things,
Okay.
and I can go into just other thoughts and opinions, and there's a wide variety of things that I do with it. For instance, one of my favorite places to perform is down at the Lyceum in Alexandria. They have a
Okay.
very good, well-read, well-educated audience there. And when I go there, I do share some of his critical reviews
Hmm.
of other authors, which can be quite humorous. I do that with the scholars as well if I'm going to a university
Absolutely.
here. If it's something like I'm just doing, say, uh, somebody's a teenager's birthday party,
Hmm.
and it's usually just the Black Cat and or the Telltale Heart.
Okay.
Same
Yes.
thing if I'm doing, say, a lot of middle school, so I'll do that.
Hmm.
And that's mainly my objective in the amount of time that whatever time I have to give a pretty comprehensive picture of himself, his life, the atmosphere of his works, and of his life.
Hmm. Yeah, that is amazing. And I love how, depending on your audience that you have, that you cater each of your performances to the audience. That
Oh,
really
yes.
makes it special. It definitely does.
And it has to be that way because, for instance, uh, I've been going to out down to Alexandria a
Hmm.
couple of shows every year, and um, well, they really might like to see, many of them might like to see the same show and the
Yes.
same stories year after year, but there are others who would like some variety in it. So, for instance, this year I'm doing The Pit and the Pendulum and Hop Frog there.
Okay.
And last year I did Telltale Heart and Cask of Amontillado. And I try to get a feel for the audience, ask what they want,
Hmm.
they're looking for. Now, I've because we're in Baltimore here and by the
Yes.
grave, sometimes there are conventions here in Baltimore, and
Hmm.
when conventions come in, I don't know if you know much about what kind of entertainment they're looking for, but they're looking for comedy.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Hmm. And so I even do a couple of the comic stories
Okay.
for them. Many of them wouldn't appear at all funny to a modern audience, but
Yes.
I do some of them well, specifically the way talking about tailoring.
Hmm.
Um, I was looking for humorous material because there was an incident going on here in the Baltimore area where there was a sniper shooting at schools, and people were very upset
Right.
about
Hmm.
that at the time. And audiences were not really looking for something that was going to be frightening. So
Right. Right.
looked for other stories. And
Hmm.
it just happened that I was working on one of his humorous stories uh,
Hmm.
called The Spectacles.
Oh, yes, I love that one. That's such a good one.
It is hysterical, and
It is.
it's one that audiences today will appreciate. And
Hmm.
so, for the first time I did it, it happened that there was a convention of ophthalmologists.
Oh, that's
Wanted,
perfect.
and so I did it, and they loved it. And I have done it, in certain places, like the Lyceum, sometimes
Hmm.
over and over. But for the most part, I steer away from that particular story
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if the audiences are looking for horror or
Yes.
things that are
Mm-hmm.
more typical.
Yeah.
Another one I do is 3 Sundays in a week.
Oh, I
Uh,
like that one too. That
that's
one's a great one as well.
mhm. Right. When audiences are looking for something humorous, that's a good one.
It is a good one. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So you talked a little bit about that you've always pretty much wanted to be an actor. Was there anything specific, like seeing a certain actor portray a characters and things like that, that really gave you that inspiration, or was it just something that you just naturally gravitated to?
Well, I'm showing my age here, but I was came of age before televisions were in a home,
Okay.
so radio, and
Mhm.
I remember I didn't have too much of a vocabulary to express my thoughts. I had to be very young,
Mhm.
2 or 3 years old. But my family took me to a drive-in movie, and
Okay.
I I don't remember the name of the movie. I remember the scene.
Mhm.
I was just fascinated with it and couldn't think of anything else for days afterward. And I asked my family what was going on up there. Who were these people and how did they get up there?
Right.
And they told me, well, they weren't real people. They were, um, and this best way I guess they could explain it to
Mhm.
me was talking about the construction of the screen that they were cotton. And I
Yeah.
remember going home and looking in a box of Johnson's cotton balls, looking, trying to see if I could get any clue as to what was going on there. But I was so fascinated with the whole process of acting at that time and
Okay.
from then on that, I asked my family, I couldn't understand, well, why aren't you all doing this? Why isn't everybody doing this?
Yeah.
It'd be like the only thing anybody would ever want to do.
Right. Right.
And, and they explained to me that it was a pretty difficult business to get into, and they were right
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. Oh, I can
Mhm.
only imagine. I was gonna say Jeannie taught I still teach. Jeannie is a retired teacher and she taught theater for a little while. And
Oh, mhm.
I know that just working in that was middle school. And I think Jeannie, are you back with us?
Yep, I've been here. I've
Okay.
just been
Did you want to
listening.
speak to that for a minute?
Well, and it's like he said that the concept, now the difference when I was teaching the theater in middle school is kind of the opposite of what David's saying, because when he was introduced to it, having a television in the home, or even some homes didn't even, and then I'm speaking from my dad's point of view. I don't think you're as old as my dad was, but I'm just saying that even having electricity or water in the home, I'm from the hills, it
Mhm.
was a concept that maybe we understood, but in today's age, they had access, on their phones. They could just bring up anything. They could even film themselves and doing their
Very
own thing.
true.
So introducing them to actual stage acting was kind of the same thing that David was going through when he saw the film
Hmm.
on the screen.
That
Mhm.
makes
So
sense.
it helped uh, kind of get them in the mood to say, oh, wait a minute, that's what you have to do to be an actor. It's not just something that, people just stand there and this get up there and say things. And it's a concept that I don't think a lot of people understand, that
Hmm.
there's a big difference between stage acting and acting in front of, because there's no redos on stage acting.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
As David knows, since he does everything live and in person, there's no stops and redos and say commercial break, gotta go.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah,
I've worked on some films, and it's a joy to be able to do the same scene over 20 times, and
Yeah,
yeah,
just get it more and more polished every time.
absolutely.
And yes, you do have to do it that way. And speaking of how the children react to it, um, when you're doing it in a school, yes, many of them are startled. They're absolutely stunned when they can see somebody in front of them shifting and going into these different emotions.
I can
Mhm.
imagine. Yeah.
Uh, it's and they get all kinds of reactions. I did Telltale Heart once for uh, a group of, well, mentally disturbed children,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they didn't know how it was going to go over, but they got drawn into it, and they really were into the feeling of all of it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's wonderful.
Mhm.
That's really neat.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it speaks to the connection, the human connection, I think,
Hmm.
because I know, like, when I taught that them seeing, words on a piece of paper or hearing me say it out loud or read it to them wasn't as connecting as, say, what David does, actually putting the emotion, the feelings, the movements to where it's no longer just words on a page, it's an
Hmm.
actual story. And that's why storytelling, when I was doing professional storytelling, I would have so many adults bring their children to it because the children would connect, because they could
Yeah.
connect to what I was saying and everything, because it was more than just auditory, it was visual.
Hmm.
So I think that may be why those children, they may not have completely understood what you were saying, David, but they probably were connecting to you with your movements, your voice, your wording, your emotions. And sometimes that's pretty much what they need.
Yes, and actually, um, I do edit the stories when necessary. There's certain
Mhm.
stories that have such an elevated vocabulary and grammatical structure to them that I
Hmm.
change things around a little bit. I even do, like, one of the stories that goes over best is the Black Cat, but I don't
Mhm.
do it exactly as written there. It's designed,
Hmm.
even a word or two of the Telltale Heart here and there. I'll change some of that if it's for a well-educated adult audience. Then I keep it pretty much as it was written.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it makes sense.
It
I
does.
mean,
It absolutely does. Definitely, especially if you're performing for like fifth or sixth graders, even that makes sense to take maybe tone down the little bit of the horror and, like you say, to grammatically change it a little bit so they can understand it better. And
Yes,
and then they develop that appreciation for Poe too.
right. The youngest group, you wouldn't think that this could happen
Uh-huh.
this young, but there was a school teacher here in Baltimore who actually had um, preschoolers. She read
Wow.
them the story. She told them all about it. She told them about Poe.
Uh-huh.
They went to the Poe house, and there I performed the Telltale Heart for them, and they went wild over it. They
I
were
bet.
so excited. They just loved it. Yeah,
Oh, that is so awesome. I was gonna say they probably will never forget that as long as they live.
I'm sure they wouldn't. In fact, that happens to be a comment that I hear after performances a lot. People sometimes have never seen a one person show, and they'll think, well, you know, how could it be a one person show?
Hmm.
And then afterward, they'll tell me this was really strange. This is something I will never forget as long as I live.
mhm.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
completely unique for them.
Hmm. So, was there anything specific that led you to playing the iconic role of Edgar Allan Poe?
But just I was so fascinated with his life, and I read biographies. I love biographies. I love history,
Hmm.
and as I said, like that Eddie Cantor movie I saw a few years
Hmm.
later, I thought what he experienced when he saw his life in there is what I wish I could do that, and Poe would see it and he would be pleased with it.
Absolutely. I think you would.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's just the combination of acting and fascination with Poe and history. And
Hmm.
I like to, you know, I'm really into atmosphere and stories. And wow, does Poe have it? He really
Hmm.
has it. One of my favorite acting theories is that put forth by Chekhov, Michael Chekhov,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a whole chapter in there devoted to atmosphere and how important atmosphere is in stories, and just the whole language of it, the costuming, the way that you move, everything. I like to really get to present the zeitgeist of that era of the
Mm-hmm.
19th century, or whenever I'm doing it. I've done some other shows from some characters from the 20th century,
Okay.
H.L. Mencken and D.H. Lawrence, and some phrenologists,
Oh,
But
Yeah.
nice.
it's good to it's nice to be able to take people back into another time,
Mm-hmm.
completely transform them into seeing what life was like in another era.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you do that because I know when I'm teaching different stories, not necessarily, I do get to teach a little bit of Poe, but even going just back to the civil rights movement, because we have a whole unit on that, students don't understand, like looking at the context sometimes. And so I always have to remind them, you've got to look at the context of the time period. And even going back to Poe, things were very different, and you've got to look at what things were written during those times, and you've got to basically put yourself in that and put yourself in their shoes to really comprehend what somebody was going through at the time. And so I'm really glad that you do take people back to different times because it really, I think, helps with the context. Definitely.
Hmm. Yes, that is just so wonderful to be able to do that. And speaking of that kind of thing, the I do question and answer
Okay.
um, as Poe afterwards, sometimes as Poe, and sometimes just as the actor.
Mm-hmm.
With if it's like for a theater group, it's more emphasis on
Okay.
things from the actor about putting the show together.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, when I did that particular one for the group of emotionally disturbed children,
Mm-hmm.
question and answer came up in the course of it, and it came up that Poe was 27 and married his 13-year-old cousin,
Yes.
and they looked at the teacher and said, "Well, that's abuse, isn't it?" And
Yeah.
so they explained that with a life expectancy of about 26 years at that time,
Mm-hmm.
that women married as early as 12 in some cases,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
that they were considered, in many cases, to be something like, well, what they used to call old maids if they went all
Mm-hmm.
the way to 17.
Yes.
And they learn about things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been fascinated with that. I mean, even though as much history as I've read, I'm surprised at certain things that I come across um, that I never knew or that I find surprising. Like I was reading Richard Copley's new book,
Mm-hmm.
which is a wonderful book. I recommend it to
I
everyone.
just got it in the mail. I just got it, so I'm going to start reading it soon.
Yeah. Well, in that he mentions uh, clips from different reviews, and
Mm-hmm.
he says, "I was surprised to find that they were often describing the women as handsome and the men as pretty."
Oh, wow. That is very interesting.
Yes, uh, they'd say like she's the handsomest woman in theater today, talking about his
Mm-hmm.
mother. And I remember one specific one that they said they were talking about his father and said he spends too much time looking at this pretty person, but they
Yeah.
referred to the men as pretty. And that's very odd. If you went back into
Yeah.
that time and heard that, you'd think it's strange.
Yeah, you definitely would. So, yeah, if you got to time travel back, yeah, because it's the total opposite now. Yeah, that is fascinating.
Mhm.
Well, it could go along with what my grandfather always used to say to us. Every time he would ask how we were doing, and I would say pretty good, and he would always say, remember, pretty is as pretty does.
It is
So
what? Pretty as who?
pretty is as pretty does.
Oh.
You're only
Mhm.
pretty is if you are being well behaved and doing what's needed and
Mhm.
following the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
that makes me think that what you're talking about, it's just like in today's vernacular. We have the connotations of certain words that they mean the opposite of what they used to.
Yes.
And so
Right.
that's
Yes.
probably why in
Mhm.
those, when I was teaching the historical aspects of that era, that, handsome was a blanket statement of talking about the looks of someone,
Mm-hmm.
whereas pretty was a reference to their character.
Oh.
That makes
Hmm.
sense.
So,
That does make sense.
Let's see.
so, and that could be a part of what uh, has translated differently nowadays. That we just look at it as pretty is talking about the outward appearance, and handsome we've just left that to as that describes a male vision, and then pretty describes a female vision. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just using that connotation of the words as outward appearance,
Yeah.
not as a character reference anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
that could
Hmm.
be part of it. I'm just saying because that
Yeah,
I just remember that.
it's plausible.
Yeah,
One of the
that was
interests.
something
Mhm.
my grandfather always used to tell, not just me, he would ask everybody that. And if everybody said pretty good, he would always say, pretty is as pretty does.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be something,
And that
could
probably
be
was a very
tied to it.
common expression at that time. Pretty is as
Yes.
pretty
Yeah,
does.
that's true.
Hmm. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Another surprising one is, for instance, I did the spectacles
Mm-hmm.
for a middle school group once.
Mm-hmm.
I got to that line that there I was making love to an old woman, an unknown old woman, and just saying I was making love to her in a theater, and they all thought it meant that he was having sex with her right there.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
But even in my lifetime, you know, just like in the 50s, making love, just meant flirting, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
and it had nothing to do with the physicality of it. It was just,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just nice
Flirtatious.
conversation or flirtation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
definitely phrases like that have definitely evolved into different things throughout history.
and it definitely got the attention of those middle schoolers, I guarantee it.
Probably. Oh,
Hmm.
well, do you have a poem or story that people request the most? Like what is when somebody asks you to perform, what is it they request the most?
I can tell you the first and second,
Okay.
or I get more requests for the Telltale Heart
Okay.
than anything else.
Okay.
Second, the Cask of Amontillado. I think partly because of the way I do it, because I like seeing the shifting back and forth in the two characters
Mm-hmm.
talking. And then I people either love or hate the black cat.
That's true. Yes.
I agree. I
it's
have a love-hate relationship with it myself, so.
hmm
so it depends on the particular audience whether that one is. As far as favorites of my own, well, I still love to do uh, the Telltale Heart. I've got a couple of specific ones that really appeal to me.
hmm
Um, very not often performed,
Okay.
very little known. The facts in the case of Monsieur Valdemar. Uh,
Yes, that's such a good one. Yes.
mhm. Yes, I was always fascinated with hypnosis from the time I was a little kid, and
hmm
went on and studied, read all about it, and um, got a certificate from a place called the Maryland Institute of Applied Hypnology, and I worked with different people on stopping smoking and weight control, things of that sort. And I even tried using the mesmeric passes to,
Yeah. Yeah.
people, and found it to be working very well. So I love that one. And Of the humorous ones, I like to do these two stories together in the same evening.
Okay.
Some Words with a Mummy
Yeah.
and The Facts in the Case of Monsieur Valdemar. They both have to do with life after death, or after
Mm-hmm.
someone has died, or up to the point of death. So there's a nice theme involved with that.
Yeah. Those are great. I never even thought about that. Those are two that would be great to be paired together for a performance.
Oh yes, and I like to do the Words with a Mummy first, because
Mm-hmm.
it seems it's easier to get your audience involved in something that has to do with laughter.
Yes.
In the beginning, it's called front loading, and then once you get them to really expressing their emotions and feeling like it's safe to really become engrossed in the story, then you move to the horror, and they get maybe more involved in it, in the facts in the case of Monsieur Valdemar, than they would have otherwise.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That would be great to see both of those to see you do.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
would like
maybe I'll
one
come
more
out to
than
your
the other
state and
one,
do
but
them sometime.
Oh, that would be great. I was going to say, I know the Hermitage here, Andrew Jackson's home. They do have different actors come in for different events, and they've had a Poe actor come. They've had two different ones over the past several years, and then they have someone that comes and does Washington Irving. And also, they also have that's usually around November, October or November sometimes. And then they have Gerald Dickens, who is the
Oh, good friend of mine.
oh, okay, okay, and
Yeah, he and I had the same agent at
okay,
one
oh,
time.
that's awesome. I've seen him perform, and with the
Oh yes,
Christmas Carol or Christmas Carol, and it's fantastic too.
oh yes. Every year we have been going to see his Christmas Carol, and we also go to see other things too. And
Hmm.
sometimes he appears as Dickens, and he's got the wig and everything, just to look exactly like
Yeah,
Dickens. And then other times, he just as himself uh,
yeah,
comes out there as and does his Christmas Carol is just wonderful.
it is.
Um, I think if you're interested in traveling any distance, I think it might be at Winter Tour
Okay.
this year, but you know, I would definitely recommend seeing that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And a friend of mine has seen him do it here in the States and other shows, and he saw it in England, and he said they really do it up well over there.
I
So,
bet.
so he's got me to want to go to see it over there.
Oh, I can. Oh, I bet it would be amazing over there.
Yes, he said they are so they get so into Christmas, and it's interesting. The reason they do, I'm sure, is
Hmm.
because of Charles Dickens. Because I
Yes.
understand they were thinking of taking Christmas off the calendar before he wrote that story. It was,
Hmm.
just considered a very minor holiday, but he certainly changed all of that.
Yes. Oh, I totally agree.
Mhm.
So, with where places where you've performed, have you had a like very interesting, like what's the most interesting venue you've ever performed in?
Well, in one sense, the largest was the Rodolphin and Opera House in Prague. You
Oh,
know,
wow. Yeah.
that's one that holds several thousand, and it wasn't as full the night that I did it, but there's a funny story behind that.
Hmm.
I was at the time, just at that time, beginning to do the bells. So I had new poems, new stories,
Hmm.
about 9 stories and 11 poems, I think that I do.
Okay.
And I hadn't really worked it up to full speed, and got it exactly the way I do it now with all of the onomatopoeia and everything. Although
Hmm.
it's enough that people commented on it. And so I was sitting in the balcony looking at the audience and the people down there and thinking, wow, that must be really thrilling to be down there performing in a theater this size. And then I felt a tap on my shoulder.
Ah.
and, uh, and this guy that was organizing the whole thing said, we heard that, I was there with part of a Poe festival. We
Hmm.
heard that you do the bells, and we're doing Rachmaninoff's The Bells here. Would you go
Oh,
and do the bells for us on stage?
oh, nice.
And so, it was scary because I was just starting to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really thrilling. So that was the largest one that I ever performed for. The smallest ones would be in somebody's living room. And
Okay.
sometimes those two are very, very well appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like it's something special that someone's coming out. So,
Absolutely.
mhm.
Yeah, that would be very intimate like be in a very small group like that to watch you perform.
Oh yes, some people who've seen it both in large theaters and for small groups like that
Hmm.
feel that it is. Now, the first one I did, by the way, was also interesting. That was on Halloween night,
Okay.
1991,
Hmm.
right there beside the grave. Mhm.
Oh, that
And
would be what you said you performed the Raven? Was that
that night, I performed The Telltale Heart
okay?
and Annabelle Lee. Those were the first two that I had.
Okay.
And gradually, and people loved it. And so I thought, well, then I had more. Added The Black Cat,
Hmm.
Casco of Amontillado, sometimes depending on just their special interest, as I mentioned, the ophthalmologist.
Yes.
uh, it varies from one group to another. Those would probably be. Oh, I like performing in graveyards too.
Okay.
Even those that are not Poes.
Hmm.
Um, I've done that out in a let's see, it's a public library. At the time, it was a place where Poe had applied for a job as a teacher, and there's a graveyard beside it, and
Hmm.
that's very exciting. Just the atmosphere.
Oh yeah. I mean that I was gonna say I would even think of like I don't know if you do ever have done Spirits of the Dead, but that would be amazing in a cemetery or graveyard.
I think I did it one time at his grave, but we don't
Okay.
get a whole lot of requests for graves now,
Hmm.
and there's all these the time constraints. Sometimes an audience will want. Well, when I first started doing this, I did the first story, and then I thought, well, they're going to want audiences are going to really want a couple of hours.
Hmm.
So um, I got together 2 hours, and
Okay.
there are very few requests now for that full 2 hours,
Okay.
with an intermission in between.
Hmm.
Like the first part taking place in 1845 when The Raven was first published, and then at the end of his life. What they really want, most audiences, like for school shows, they want a school class period, which
Okay.
is usually two
Mhm.
stories Q&A.
Hmm.
Uh, Anybody that I get, well, some people just want two stories, some only one.
Okay.
Probably most popular is 1 hour.
Hmm.
A lot of people want, 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Jeannie.
No, I was just going to say, most of the time, the hour, with the attention span of most audiences today, it's kind of all you can get out of them to keep them happy.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, although Poe does fascinate them, teachers have said to me afterward, "Can you believe this? You could have heard a pin drop. These kids
Hmm.
don't sit still for things, but Poe, they will."
Yeah.
They absolutely will. Well, one of the other questions we had was like with you portraying Poe, has that steered you to living in places Poe has lived? Like you're living in Baltimore now. So,
Well, I was I just finished college down in Florida,
hmm.
and I wanted to go to New York and
Hmm.
try it there. But I happened to have friends that were in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
I wanted to visit and stayed and was there for about a week. And in the course of that week, I looked around and I saw that, it was possible to get some work
Hmm.
in Baltimore, And so I wound up staying there.
Okay.
And I really only went back to New York once or twice to audition, but didn't
Hmm.
get it.
Okay.
Then, I lived here, and it just happened. My house is a half a mile from the Poe grave.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's neat.
It's they say location, location, location when you
Yes.
buy a house. And
That would do
it's
it
good I
right
can
there.
walk to do a show. I can walk down there to do a show.
Oh, that's so neat. Has anybody ever stopped you when you've walked down there, like, hey, Mr. Poe, or anything like that?
Oh, all the time.
Uh-huh. That's awesome.
I did a lot of things like that. One time I made a mistake, as a matter of fact. I was lucky I got a warning on this instead of a citation.
Uh-huh.
I was coming out from around there, from nearby there, and going down some streets I hadn't known. And I thought, oh, as soon as I saw it, I thought, here, it can go this way. And I went that way, and it turned out it was a one-way street. And
Oh,
I saw, the light come on behind me.
uh-huh.
In the sign, I realized what it was. So I was reaching from my glove compartment and
Uh-huh.
take out my driver's license. And the officer said, you could just leave that there, Mr. Poe. I just wanted to make sure you don't come down this street anymore. I just want to tell you this is a one-way street. Yes.
Ah!
And we've already got one dead Poe around here. We don't need another one.
Oh my goodness.
Now that was awesome.
That's great. Yeah, and I'm glad you didn't get a full ticket. You just got a warning.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
he knew it was
awesome.
a difficult spot to see, where you were coming from, that
Hmm.
it would have been better to mark it more clearly, too.
Hmm.
That was part of it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
So,
I've gotten a lot of comments. Sometimes some people don't really know who Poe was, and they'll see me going
that's true.
somewhere. And you do travel in costume like this for reasons I'll explain in a minute.
Okay.
But they will say, "Are you a magician?" Yeah,
Yeah,
because it looks the outfit looks sort of similar.
I can see
But
Hmm.
that.
I found that fortunately I didn't learn the really hard way, although some actors have. When you're going from city to city and you're flying from one place to another,
Hmm.
and you're going in there and doing something, you can wind up with your luggage getting put on the wrong plane.
That's
Hmm.
true.
And
Yeah.
one time, well, I was going to some classes somewhere. It wasn't for a performance, and they didn't get my luggage to me until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
I had a show
wow.
that night. I wouldn't have been able to do it, and so I always travel in the costume with everything on, even if the show isn't till the next day. I just
Okay.
take off the costume, put it back on the next
Hmm.
day because I can't afford to lose the costume,
No. Oh my
uh,
goodness.
even if it was the next day or some time later.
Hmm.
Who knows what might happen to it? And you just can't leave it out of your sight that long.
Yeah.
So I always wear it, and I get some interesting comments there. As a matter of fact, one time
Oh.
I was, let's see, went into a Dunkin' Donuts and for some coffee before going there, and the people were real excited, and they said, "Oh, could you do a verse of the Raven?" And so I did it, and this one said, "Oh, my boyfriend works in security at the airport. If you're going there, could you do it for him at the gate?" And so I wound up doing it for him, and I didn't wound up doing it at the car rental place there.
Oh,
And
wow.
word spread uh, that I was there, and the plane was coming in.
Uh-huh.
And so they wound up, by the time I got on the plane, there wasn't time to do too much of it. We didn't know how much it would be, but I
Yeah.
got on there. They said, "Would you do the Raven?" So I stood up, excuse
Oh.
me, there, and started, gave a little bit of an introduction. Said it. And
Hmm.
people were just astounded, sitting there,
Yeah. Oh my
you know,
gosh.
watching it, and people wrote articles about that incident.
That's awesome.
I would love my plane trip to start with the actor dressed up as Edgar Allan Poe reciting the Raven to me as we were about to go take off, and I'd be like, "I'm there. Let's go.
Yes. Oh my
I'm ready to
gosh.
travel."
Mhm.
Yeah, I would love that as well. So let's see, because you mentioned favorite stories that you have of Poe's for yourself. Are there any of your, like, what poems by Poe is your favorites?
The Raven and Annabelle Lee. Those are
Okay.
my two favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I like the sound of Eula Loom.
Yes, it's a
That's
nice one.
really beautiful. Not many people know that he wrote that for to be used for an elocution lesson. Just
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
for people to learn how to use their voices or to get the feeling of rhyme. And it's very beautiful. As a matter of fact, Aldous Huxley afterwards said that he, and I'm sure Poe would just disapprove of him, but wouldn't take back any of his work. He said Poe's work is just too beautiful. He said in particular, Eula Loom is so beautiful it is actually vulgar. He said it's like wearing diamond rings on every finger of every hand. It's got so much in it.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is rather perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Absolutely.
And I can see why it would be used for elocution because that's one thing with Poe's cadence and his
Yes,
work. No
yes.
matter whether it's short story or
Mhm.
his poetry, there's
Mm-hmm.
always such a rhythm to it.
Yes.
Mhm. Yes. Oh, I love the bells too
Oh,
for the
yes.
Oh, yeah.
onomatopoeia in it. That's a
Mhm.
wonderful one.
Oh, yes. Kids in
Yeah.
class loved it too. That's the one thing they loved for me to recite for them.
Oh, yeah. It's such a good one too. So, what events do you have coming up where people can come and watch you perform?
Six shows in Ohio.
Mhm.
As far as watching me perform, that one's already sold out.
That's
Um,
wonderful. And I will be there. I will be there.
but it's already sold out, but I could probably get you in.
Oh,
Uh,
I've already got tickets. I have
oh,
tickets. Yeah.
good, good. That's right. Yeah. Hmm. And then let's see, some school shows, and then down in Alexandria, where I've been going for about 20 years or more.
Hmm.
I'll be doing an hour and 15-minute show down there that um, gives a more complete, a more comprehensive view of his life and work than what I can usually do
Okay.
in in a show.
That's
Mhm.
good.
That'll be good.
Mhm.
And when is
And
that happening?
Oh, that's the 29th and 30th of this month.
of October.
Okay.
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 And any others, who knows when something will come up,
Hmm.
Exactly.
I got a call one time saying, "Can you be down at the Poe grave in 45 minutes?"
Oh my goodness.
But
Like, look, I'm walking distance, but that's just a
yeah,
little
I
too
was
much
lucky that
That
there.
I
is.
lived so close.
Yeah.
The most notice I ever got was 4 years
Oh wow.
Wow.
when Peter Fawn, he's one of the world's largest Poe collectors.
Hmm.
He's got
Uh-huh.
so many things on Poe, and he saw me perform at the Poe House in
Hmm.
Baltimore, and said, "Can you come to Prague and perform for several months in Prague?" Sure.
Hmm.
That was in
Oh, that
1995. Mhm.
that had to be an amazing experience.
Oh, that was wonderful. Really. I did about
Um,
seven. How many theaters was it? Maybe seven theaters.
Okay.
And uh, then in the Carolinum,
Hmm.
most of the shows were there.
Hmm.
And I was lucky enough to get to, while I was there, the Naza Bradley was one of the big theaters there.
Okay.
Some things there. And Stephen Burkoff does some Poe things too. And so he'd do something one night and I'd do something the next night.
Hmm.
It was great to meet him,
Yeah. Oh, that
see the
sounds
kind of
great.
show he does, which is completely different.
Hmm.
that was definitely something for memory because that
Hmm.
would be awesome.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So where all can our viewers and listeners find you?
Where?
Online, like online.
Well, there's something on YouTube. Well, I have a website, davidkeltz.com.
Mm-hmm.
And on YouTube, if you put that in, um, I like there's the Casco Amontillado that was done in a theater with real nice lighting. I did part of the Raven back at a time when they were only allowing you to do a certain amount of time on YouTube, or so I thought.
Okay. Okay.
Then back several years ago, during the pandemic, audiences had been expecting me to go to Prague. I mean, to the Lyceum every year,
Mm-hmm.
and so they said, could I do something online instead? So I did a full show there online. You can see that
Oh, nice. Okay.
either on my website or on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And those those are the main things that you could see. Just
Okay.
David Keltz on YouTube or
Or on your website.
davidkeltz.com.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, because you have I've looked at your website and it's a very nice website with all of your information and things.
Oh, thank you. Mhm.
So, David, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Let's see. I don't really think so. Is it? Well, because it's so new and it's so recent, what I mentioned earlier about Richard Copley's new book,
Yes.
that has information in it that no one has ever had before.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Okay.
it's, he went and he got some big boxes of letters that were given to the person who was going to write the first biography of
Okay.
Poe, but he never did.
Mm-hmm.
And so Richard Copley heard about that and went and got him. When you read this, he said that he wanted to bring that to life,
Mm-hmm.
bring Poe's to life, and he does in that. It's so
Oh,
wonderful.
awesome.
It's you feel like you're just there seeing just what happened, because the person who gave the notes to the original editor
Mm-hmm.
was the stepdaughter of Poe's best friend, lifelong friend, from the time he was a toddler
Mm-hmm.
up to the last year of his life.
Okay.
And he knew things about Poe that no one else knew, and there's just so much new information in there. So I would recommend that.
Yeah, I can't wait to read it. Like I said, I just got it in the mail a couple days ago, and I'm excited because when you told me about it the other day, so that's going to be great.
Other than that, I guess I'd say Poe can't speak for himself, so you can come and see me speak for Poe.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful.
I love that.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes. Well, David, it has been amazing talking to you this afternoon, and we just want to thank you so much for being with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, again, thank you, David, so much. And Jeanie,
On that note,
we are
Poe
out.
Over and out.